So let's just cut right to the let's cut to the chase, right? So let's cut to the chase. Supervisors always want to, the supervisors, hiring managers, recruiters, they're always like, "What do I do?" So you're telling me what not to do. What do I do? So I want to give you a couple of do's. I'll give you some don'ts too, but we'll focus on the do's. So first of all, what I would encourage is recognize what the goals of your strategy for getting people into the organization is, right? So what's the goal? What are you focused on? Like, why do you want people to join this wonderful organization? And so with that, so recognize what the goal is. Secondly, experiment with how and where and the language that you use within job postings, right? So as you're engaging people, and there's a wonderful tool that we've started rolling out called Textio, right? And Textio will tell us how gendered our conversation is. And so all too often what we recognize is that the language in those job descriptions or those jobs postings alienate people on a subconscious level as well as a conscious level, given the kinds of words that are used. So use tools like Textio to see, experiment with the words that you use for your job postings. I would also say that if that is true about gender, it might be true also about class and about race. So think about those job postings in a real or those the fulfillment of that job in some real concrete ways, right? So how might unconscious bias be creeping in how we even word the job postings? Also, ask people for samples of their work, right? So we all recognize that interviewing is a skill, right? It's a skill, so you can learn how to interview. Um, you know. Danny DeVito is not an attorney, right? He is not a Harvard scholar, but he certainly played one on TV. Tom Hanks is not, he's not an astronaut, but he's played one on TV. And so we know that the ability to interview is very much different than the actual ability to do the thing. Right? And so ask people for work samples as you're going through your interview process. Have standardized interview processes with a list of standardized questions, with a standard rating, with spaces for people to write their comments, and then collect those so you can compare them. So have conversations in the room after you've interviewed a candidate on the standardized questions, gotten people's ratings, but then collect those ratings so that you have some documentation of that process. And then recognize when you're being either sucked in or repelled by an interaction, an interview, a candidate. Regulate your own feelings, recognize those things, right? And so let's go to the don't side. The don'ts are really simple. Don't go into unstructured interviews, right? Don't go into an interview without having thought about your interview process. Don't neglect to set diversity goals, right? So when you think about what you're interviewing for, consider diversity as a part of that, and not look to treat everyone the same, because we know what that gets us, right? And so when we think about these do's and don'ts, let's be critical thinkers as we engage people in this hiring process.